All right, why don't we go ahead and get started, and if folks trickle in, they'll join us when they join us. My name is Anna Corona from AMCHP, and I'll be facilitating our Q&A session here today. Again, thank you so much for joining the session. I would like to hand it over to our presenter, Shoshana, to introduce themselves.
Hi there. Bonjour, Nano Kazikwe, Indigenous Kaz, Makwa Indodam, Gawa Babiganikag, and Dujiba, Kakabikong, and Da Nongum. Hello, everybody. I am joining you from Minnesota near Minneapolis today. And my name is Hummingbird Woman in the Ojibwe language. That's my spiritual name. And I am so happy to be here today and to be able to share what we have done with our support circle. And I am happy to answer any questions that you might have for me.
Thanks, Shoshana. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute. You can also type them in the chat box.
This is Ann from Montana. Oh my gosh, this was beyond amazing. You touched what we are what we are doing here in Montana. We have one of the maternal health innovation grants. And last year with some of our extra funding, we were able to do mini grants. And our most successful was introducing an Indigenous doula training for, I want to say 4 or 5 individuals, which may not seem like a lot, but for us here, that was a great plenty. So I'm just beyond so pleased that both you and Pearl had the courage, and how painful for some of what Pearl shared with us insofar as, the history behind it. But I'm glad that you gave us ideas of how to move forward. So my roundabout question is, are there any chance that you might want to come to Montana and do some training for us? And I'm being serious about this because we're planning hopefully to have a maternal conference really focused on our Indigenous population here. But any other lessons learned? I love the materials. It's very difficult to find materials specifically for an Indigenous population. There's so much on it. Don't get me wrong. Not to say that the other races don't deserve the publications, but here in Montana, our Native American Indigenous population is our second highest besides our white people. So that's a lot of blubbering on my part, but thank you. And the other thing is, I'll connect with you offline. My son, daughter-in-law, and soon to be second grandchild live in Minneapolis. So I would love to come meet you and Pearl in person.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yes. And we are more than happy to come and travel. It's just, we have to be invited. We're not going to impose ourselves into other people's lands, but we have to be invited into. Yes, definitely. And that's what we do. And we have across the state here of Minnesota is we've given trainings to mothers. Yes.
Perfect.
Do we have more questions for me?
Shoshana, this is Some. Hi, I'm off camera. I just have some weird internet stuff going on today. I'm in California. Also just really, really found this session to be informative. I had a question. So one of the slides said, it doesn't stop at birth, the ongoing support. And I guess my question is, do you have any other information for older kids, adolescents, or that kind of in-between stage between infancy, just if you have anything else to share, maybe for those populations.
Yeah, there are some actual programs that are happening. Like my day job is over at Division of Indian Work, and we have programs that are available. So there's like the Family Spirit program. There's many trainings that are available across, specifically for Native families. And if you want to connect with me more, there's my email address in the chat. There's definitely Native programs here in the States and up in Canada.
Okay.
Youth leadership programs we have at Division of Indian Work, where they're supportive and teach more about cultural activities and incorporating those first teachings with our youth and helping to guide them to become leaders within the community.
Well, I definitely have your email. I will be emailing you because I'm very interested in that. Just knowing a little more about that. So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
So, hey, I was wondering, I'm the health manager for a Head Start out of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
Bonjour.
So when I saw that this was and you were from Minnesota, I thought, oh, I got to join this one.
I was born in DL.
Oh, were you really? Cool.
Yes.
I don't know if we've changed. I've been here 16 years now, I think. But anyway, with our Head Start, we do have a pregnant mom program. We do have some Native American moms and things. So I just wondering how we can, our home visitors, I would really like them to, I've always trying to promote some cultural practices and things, and just how maybe we can connect. If you could talk, or we could hold a parent training or something with our moms coming up, maybe schedule something this fall or this summer.
We'd be happy to come up there. Pearl is actually in Bemidji.
Okay.
Carla Decker-Sorby, she's the MDH nurse. She's the MDH tribal liaison nurse up that way, who is in charge of the Family Spirit program. So they have some really amazing curriculum too.
Then one thing, our community action agency, that's our Head Start is through that Mahabi Community Action, and we are doing a medicine garden this summer, trying to get one in Corpus. So when you mentioned all those things, I went, oh, how cool. So they're going to do some vegetables, and then also have the other, the 4 medicines you mentioned. And I'm tell you, I know not much about it or anything. It's all going to be learning and new to me too. But anyway, it's kind of exciting. So having you share that in your practices and things, I just want these young ones to make more of a connection, maybe.
Yeah.
With our
it's important for our families to get in touch with our plant relatives that we have, because those, everything in creation for us has a spirit, and all we have to do is just ask for them for assistance and help. There's a word for it. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but those plants are able to support us. And you don't have to ingest them. It's just like their essence. There's a whole word for it. I forget what it's called. But you just ask them for help, and they're there to help you. So building those relationships with all those spiritual, everything out there has a spirit. So yeah. It's important.
I think we are losing a lot of that in our society now. It's not, all across the board. It's, the Native American cultural spirits, or whether you're Christian or maybe Muslim, all of them. I just think we need to have more of a connection with that spiritual beliefs and things. So,
yep.
Oh, good. So how do I just, I looked at your slides, just kind of contact you that way or something, or?
And my email is in, it's in the chat.
It's in the chat. Okay.
Yeah. My email is in the chat, and just send me an email. I will be happy to connect with you.
Oh, good. I'm like that's exciting. Okay, good. Thanks.
Yeah. And I see Emmy. Emmy's from DL too.
Oh, really? Who's this?
There's Emmy. She wrote in the chat. She says, I'm from DL.
Hi, I'm Emmy at Rudolph. I worked for the tribe in White Earth for a while, but I can't get my camera to work. I'm sorry. And then now I'm working at Native American Community Clinic, Shoshana. So
hey.
Hi, I'm the OB care coordinator over here. So we've been
Nice.
referring towards your doula program quite frequently now.
Yes, at DIW, yes.
Yes,
So
thank
are you Heather's mom?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
No, not Heather. You had the twins?
I have the 2 sets of twins. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
famous for that down there.
Okay, yeah, because she used to be at our house a lot. Emily's mom, Emily
Oh,
Schonsberg's mom.
yes, I'm Hallie's mom. Yes.
Hallie, I'm sorry, Heather.
Oh
I
my
couldn't remember her name.
Oh,
Hallie,
you're
that's
fine.
right. Yeah. Hey, small world.
Small world, yes.
Hi, this is Ben from AMCHP. Thank you so much, Shoshana. And I don't have a question as much as I just and I unfortunately have to hop off in a second, but just an observation. I think it's really interesting that there's been a move in maternal and child health more globally to shift toward cross-cutting measures when thinking about the outcomes of our work. And I just think it was really interesting to hear your presentation and to hear how and you were just talking about it with the connection to plants and nature, how sort of effortlessly and organically all of that is woven into just thinking about it, even just thinking about this one topic, like breastfeeding. And so I think, like with anything, I think our field has a really long way to go in terms of recognizing that how to do that sort of coordination and integration is baked into communities already, as opposed to thinking about things as new and innovative. It's already there. So that's just an observation. So thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's really important. A lot of our urban families and families that have been adopted out, or I will say I was adopted out when I was 2, short story. I was adopted out when I was 2 and moved to Missouri, where there are very little Ojibwe people down there. And it takes great effort and wanting to know who you are, where you came from, and learning your language and culture. And it will always be a lifelong process for me to learn the language. But back in the state, I lived up on the reservation, and I attend language tables all the time, and I go to ceremonies all the time. And it's so important for me and for my families and my family to be able to reintroduce things that we have lost through colonization. Yes, it's really important to do that for our families. And all I can just give you from the Ojibwe perspective. I mean, yeah, language.
So we have about 9 more minutes for questions. If anybody else has any questions that you'd like to ask of our presenter while we have her here live. And if not, I might sneak in with a question. Shoshana, I'm curious, kind of thinking about, just hearing the importance and of culturally congruent care and what that looks like. I'm curious in terms of your perinatal and lactation support circles that you described and your breastfeeding medicine group. Do you have any stories about people that participate in those support groups that have then been interested in becoming someone who provides that type of support to the community? I'm kind of curious if what the work that you do not only impacts outcome for women and their children, but if it kind of helps grow the workforce as well.
It does. So, whenever I took the Indigenous breastfeeding counselor training back in 2019, I had to travel out of state for that. So I had to travel over to Green Bay, Wisconsin. I actually met another IBC, Indigenous breastfeeding counselor. We are currently in the process of changing it to Indigenous lactation counselor. Yes, Indigenous lactation counselors now. Cami Goldhammer and Kim Moore Salas. We're officially changing it. fast forward. So yes, I met another woman from Minnesota over in Green Bay because we had to travel out of state for that. And so it was my dream at some point to bring that training here to Minnesota again. And we did last year. So yes, last year, because of COVID, there was an ask. I just asked some people in the community that I had met. I also am part of the Minnesota Breastfeeding Coalition, which is different from the Indigenous Breastfeeding Coalition. So I sit on the board for the Minnesota Breastfeeding Coalition. And I got names of people to ask for funding, and we raised over $30,000 to bring this training to Minneapolis. We held it in Minneapolis. We put 34 people through the Indigenous Breastfeeding Counselor training last year. And those families were from all over Minnesota, Kansas, Canada, North Dakota, and Wisconsin. I think that's all of it. Yeah, and that has the impact of that and supporting families in Lower Sioux, Red Lake, Fond du Lac, Wahpeton, way over in Canada, and Bad River, Wisconsin. So the movement has begun, and it began before me. But I'm just saying that it's important. This is needed. There are more people that have missed the training because of COVID and COVID precautions. Yeah, I'm just excited to be able to help move this forward. Did I answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. And that's really great to hear. I love to hear that the workforce is growing, and I think, like you said, it's going to have a huge impact even beyond, what you're doing in the support circles that you are coordinating and running. And so that's great. Thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm. And just side note, and I believe we can't, Cami and Kim are not able to come back to the state this year. So at some point next year, Tequila over at Division of Indian Work is planning on bringing Cami and Kim in for that training next year at some point. So just FYI, Minnesota.
All right, I think we have time for one more question, or if anybody has any thoughts or reactions to share, you can do so now before we wrap up.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for joining today and listening to our presentation, and I hope it's helpful with some ideas for your communities, and we'd be more than happy to come out and support your community and bring some trainings to your community. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll put my email again in the chat for those who didn't get it. Oh, I can't spell. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Very much appreciate your presentation, Shoshana, and please share our thanks to Pearl as well. Lots of thanks for you in the chat. So thank you everybody for attending and joining the live Q&A. We have a couple of opportunities that remain today. We have our film screening as well as some networking reception. So I hope to see you. And if not, we'll see you tomorrow for day 2. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.